Racing season is now just days away, and those here at Ruidoso Downs Racetrack and Casino are excited to show off their multi-million-dollar renovations made after a switch in ownership. Dean, a surreal night for many here in Dexter tonight. Earlier, when it was still light out, you could see the path where the tornado came through. The app has several categories, including numbers, phrases, and months. Clicking on a word will enable the pronunciation. This is the month January. At least 9 states have now abolished what they call the tampon tax. Women we spoke with say it's about time New Mexico follows their lead. Closing arguments lasted several hours here, the jury ultimately being swayed by the prosecution. And once that verdict was read, the courtroom was in tears. We're not out of the clear just yet. With another winter storm headed our way, as Connor said, be prepared for more possible travel delays into Friday. There's still very little known about what happened, and tonight no one is in custody for the death of 23-year-old Jackson Weller. Tonight, a small memorial for Jackson Weller sits in the University of New Mexico's baseball locker room.
There's no reason for it. This neighborhood needs a better police presence. It needs less bars and restaurants and more community activity in a positive sense instead of a negative sense.
The college junior was set to take the field this fall, but around 2 a.m. Saturday, police say he was shot and killed in Nob Hill. Details of what led up to the shooting are still unclear. But the owner of the nearby bar and Bibe tell us their surveillance cameras captured the entire deadly confrontation. The shooting proves this popular area of Albuquerque is no exception to gun violence, a major problem the city says it's actively working to solve.
What were the community factors that we can sort of impact that might have prevented these folks from, being together at the wrong time or with a gun in the street, in Nob Hill in the middle of the night.
Many community members think more police here, especially on weekend nights when the bars are closing, is one answer to the issue.
I would feel way more secure.
Today, police would not tell us how many officers were in the area at the time of the shooting or how long it took to respond to the shooting. Mayor Tim Keller, who just sent letters to UNM prospects encouraging them to come here despite our unique challenges, released a statement in part saying Albuquerque will continue to fight back against gun violence in, quote, every way. City Councilor Pat Davis says the loss of a student is just as saddening as it is frustrating.
Hopefully this is one homicide that brings more attention and solutions to the table than others have.
APD's Triangle Substation in Nob Hill was reopened last summer to give more police presence, but it's only staffed until 10 p.m. Wednesday through Saturday. Wednesday, Otero County Commissioners unanimously passed a state of emergency declaration calling on Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham for help, as Border Patrol says migrants continue to come across at unprecedented rates.
There's no hiding there is a crisis on the border. Every agency with boots on the ground on the border right now will say there is a crisis on our southern border.
The declaration is asking the governor to deploy the National Guard back to the border to reopen checkpoints. Last month, Border Patrol announced the temporary closure of all interior checkpoints in the southwest sector, which encompasses New Mexico, so the agents could help out with processing migrants. Commission Chairman Coy Griffin is concerned about the safety of his residents, as he says law enforcement has seen a spike in crime and illegal drugs since the closure of the county's 2 checkpoints, but did not give specific numbers.
I believe that it's a direct result of having our checkpoint shut down. So the state of emergency is pretty much just a shout out to cry for help to get our checkpoints back open.
In a statement, a spokesman for the governor's office said the National Guard does not and would not operate federal checkpoints. They went on to suggest the county should address their concerns with Border Patrol instead and reach out to the Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management for assistance. The county is also threatening to take legal action against the state for not protecting their citizens, something Griffin says the governor promised to do when she took her oath of office. In Otero County, Elena Mendoza, KRQE News 13. Whether it's intrigue about where Billy the Kid roamed,
I know that he shot a sheriff,
the thrilling ghost stories,
actually looking forward to hearing a little of the paranormal side,
or just the rich history.
I came up here with my family to kind of just experience some of the history. I always think Lincoln's kind of a cool little town, and just to learn a little bit more about it.
Lincoln draws in thousands of visitors each year wanting to learn more about its lawless past.
History helps us understand the past, and if you understand the past, we can understand the present.
Saturday, more than 200 people took part in the Lincoln After Dark Murder and Mayhem tours.
We kind of tell the story of Lincoln through some of its more violent events.
So he shot him in cold blood.
On this night, the town gets a new feel, with visitors taken back to the late 1800s and the town's heyday.
And this was once called the most dangerous street in America because during that time period, when Billy was around, people were sort of dropping dead like flies.
Tour guides dressed for the part led groups around.
Major one I like to talk about is the Tunstall store.
Showing them the buildings and telling stories about each one.
A lot of which actually happen at night, so it makes it a little bit more interesting.
But the most famous story of all here is the one of Billy the Kid escaping from the courthouse and fatally shooting 2 deputies, a reason why many people came here on this night.
I'm looking forward to seeing the courthouse. I've been here before when I was a kid, and that's always made a lasting impression, and I've been telling him about it.
Out-of-towners say not only is it a unique event, it's educational.
This would actually serve as Lincoln County's first courthouse.
It's a family time, and just to enjoy and find out more and to see how they lived.
It may be a small town, but it's got a lot of history.
Bottom of the hole.
In Lincoln, Elena Mendoza, KRQE News 13.